I mean, I come from a very normal lower middle class background in the 50s thinking, and suddenly I did 2 plays at school. And all I know is when I got on the stage, it's like, I don't know, it's something natural. You know where to move, you knew where to do it. And the teacher who did this play, we did Cyrano de Bergerac, and I played it. And he said to me, you've ever thought of acting? And I said, not really. So then he said he had to talk with my mum and dad, and then we had a chat, and then I auditioned for RADA, and I got in. But I'd only ever done 2 school plays before I went down to RADA. So it was all, it was all fresh to me. I remember they said, and RADA was great because RADA's classical training, you had ballet, you had fencing, you had speech classes, and half the classes you really don't realize until maybe 10 years on in your career that they were really useful. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. Okay.
So I'm going to start with this quote of yours that I found that I absolutely loved. Acting is the only business where the older you get, the parts and the pay get better.
Well,
that was very wise of you, sir.
I always remember regarding that quote, that Samuel Beckett's quote is as well that the last day of your life is like any other except shorter. So while you're still going, you can still be an actor. You can still earn money. Yeah. No, I've been very lucky. I mean, I've been doing this for 62 years now, and it's sort of it's a pleasure. And each time it's fresh, or you like to think it is. Except, well, you make compromises all the time. This is an example of the movie you just saw, but where you didn't have to make any. I mean, I worked with this director before, Lopez Gallego, did a movie called The Hollow Point with him back in 2016. He's a very talented guy, and he came up with this idea with the writer Nacho Ferner, and they approached me, and about a year later, and when we talked about it for 3 years, the script got better and better, got more complicated, yet simpler. And then I brought in my producing partner, Mike Elliott, who found the money, and we had a period to make it. Early 22, the first few months, and we put it all together, went to the island, made the movie, and you can only blame us for whatever is up there, because no, it's very rare, because nobody told you what to do, nobody told you how to make the movie, but we got the money and made the movie we wanted to make. So, it's like very rare, and I'm very proud of it, when you see it, and I've showed it a few times in various places the last few months, and nearer the time, it was released early in the year in January, late January, February. So it'd be nice to get some eyes on it at this time of year when everybody's gone film crazy at this particular time. And I think it shows off Gonzalo, it shows off the island. It's a very much a movie, and it's very much in the tradition of European independent film noir, which is a particular favorite of mine,
And it shows off you.
Sorry?
And it shows off you and your acting skills as well.
Yeah, that's...
We'll get to that. We should talk about that. So talk about your character. And you mentioned how this film came together. How much of a part did you have in shaping your character? Was that something that you were involved with from the start?
It's all about him. I mean, in a sense, without being about... I mean, he's the character, and he doesn't... I mean, I think everything is said by the first shot, which takes you through the airport, takes you through his journey until he gets in the car, slams the door, the soundtrack goes off, and you're outside, but you're inside his head when the car goes off. So that film grammar tells you it's his story from then on.
Right.
Whatever happens to him. And, the camera work by Jose David, who's done every film that Gonzalo's ever made. And it's pretty much classical filmmaking in terms of, it's not cut, shot. It's not that kind of movie. The music is accompanied, and it all feels very much of a part of a whole thing with the performances by the kid and by Nora the girl. That's interesting, the girl's part, because originally the part Gloria was going to be an older Spanish actress who Gonzalo had worked with. And by say old, I mean, nobody's as old as me in the movies. So. But I mean, talking about 15 years difference, which makes a big difference. So she would have been about 50, if you like, when we made this. But she had contractual obligations. I mean, taken us 3 years. She stood up, but she couldn't get out of this. So Gonzalo had to cast another girl. He found Nora. And I think casting the girl younger, Gloria, added something in a way to not only to her, but to my character.
Sure.
Well, because it made it that there might have been a hint of a romance in the other situation. This one, not so much. No, it would be too tacky. There's no kind of, it's not, no. But there's something about when she gives him that involuntary hug in the car, which we talked about, says more than 1,000 words could ever say. And with the amazingly enigmatic Fanny Durand, Fanny, Madame Truffaut, playing her mother, adds that French enigmatic quality to the movie, which I don't think would have been there originally. Their relationship is interesting. The wife, and when she says to him in that sequence just before they dance, please don't hurt my daughter, and it goes on to them dancing. It's the irony. I don't think you could have got that scene in a commercial movie. They would have done something else with it, or there would have been arguments back and forth instead of letting the scene play out. Because also the film we play it pretty much in real time.
It very much does.
I mean, it's like, we filmed at the end of the day. There was only like an hour and a half to film it.
Did you film in sequence?
No, but we filmed mostly. I mean, he worked it out when you wanted like this kid, the scene with the kids. They had to be that had to be like first thing in the morning, 7 a.m. on the beach with the dawn, with the sun coming up.
The lighting was beautiful.
Well, yeah, and that's so did that. So we filmed it at 7 o'clock. And the other scene, the one when he throws the parachute, that was like 9 o'clock at night. We had like 20 minutes to do it, but it gives an excitement. It gives you an excitement that normally be listening. If you had, you can't do it 3 times in a row,
right?
And you've got to make something of it. And they were great. The kid was great. Nora was terrific.
As were you. I'm gonna make you talk about yourself. This is what's going to happen. So
yeah, I mean, it's funny talking about yourself because I get it. I never watch. I'm not one of those guys as you get old and you go, no, I just sit in a darkened room and smoke a lot of really high-class marijuana and watch my old movies. That's not the way to go out, I mean, it's like, if I'd gone out, going into doing a movie like that and drowned in the ocean, that would have been fine. But Wilson, I mean, that's the story of the movie, too. It's about a man, the original script was much sparer, much more...
More spare? Well, how could it be spare?
Well, you know what I mean by spare, Nora? When you get a film that we didn't have the guy character.
Really?
We added people into it, make it more, because otherwise it's just a story about a guy, unless he has human relations. It's like the movie, I always quote a movie, particular favorite, which I'm in as well, called Sexy Beast, which is, it's a great movie. It is. If you've not seen it, you should see it. But I think we should do a sequel to it. About 20 years later, Teddy, my character, Teddy Bass, and Gal, played by Winston. And I just thought Ben can't be in it because he's dead. Ben King said, goodbye, Ben, you can't be in that one.
Sorry, Ben.
that film worked because not because of the performances or the script, which was a brilliant script, and it was Jonathan Glazer's first movie, but also because it was a love story between Ray and his wife.
Right.
He stole the diamond ring at risk of whatever so he could give it to her. I mean, that seems a minor, but it's not minor at all because that relationship is a lot that carries on through the film. Otherwise, the film is but a gangster movie.
Right.
So this would be, without that connection with the other people, would be a story about a guy.
Just a hitman movie.
A hitman movie, basically.
Right.
Not more. There's always variation. Everything's been done before. But the fact of giving him that day and in a sort of a package tour hotel, bumping into the kid, enjoying the island, enjoying somewhere where he's been, ignoring his own rule, which is, the victim's not there. He should have got out of town, but he stays too long at the fair. And the consequences are not happy. But a film like this, you're not meant to be happy.
No.
So get that from the beginning. There ain't going to be a happy ending. It's the old Chekhov. If there's a gun at the beginning, it's going to go off at one point. But it's true, it has to. But that's part of the classical part of filmmaking, stagecraft, whatever. You know, something is going to happen. When it happens, you don't know.
And it's a slow burn, but when it gets there, it really blows up.
Yeah.
What appealed to you about playing a character like that? Like I said, it's pretty spare. There's not a lot of dialogue. The first 15 minutes, you barely say a word.
Well, that intrigued me because I'm forever talking usually when I
really, I hadn't noticed.
when I'm in mood. But I mean, again, that was a great thing David Milch did with Deadwood. You know, when we did Deadwood, David said, "Yeah, great show, thank you." But David said, you know, second season, he said, one thing I want you to know, I'm not going to have you come down and make a big fucking speech every thing. I said, thank God, because then it becomes like, you know, normal television. The same show repeated every week. And that's what one thing it never was. It was the growth of a town. And that's why that particular area of television with, you know, Deadwood, The Sopranos, The Wire, Oz, was an amazing period of
It really was.
HBO. No, it was a great period of television and great writing and great creativity was going on.
And great acting.
No?
And great acting.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it all comes
trying,
from...
guys, I'm trying.
Well, you know, it's like, but you know, you're there because of other people. I mean, I look at, you know, Deadwood and you think, yeah, Tim and I were terrific and people were playing the leads. And then I think of William Sanderson, who played E.B. the sheriff. I mean, E.B. the mayor. Right. That's an extraordinary piece. That's Shakespearean acting at its best, you know. Brad Dourif. I mean, it was an amazing cast of actors, you know, who came in and did that. And you can only be grateful you're around them, you know. It's when you know, we work with some pretty good people, you know.
For sure.
Films like, you know, Richard. I mean, I was talking before about something and he said, is there anything, you know, you'd like to revisit? And, you know, you've had a career. I've been lucky to have a career like, you know, 3 times before people were probably born here. I mean, making films with, you know, Richard Burton and Oliver Reed and myself and Zeffirelli doing.
You've had 150 credits.
That's
well,
I mean, it's very lucky over the time and an amazing time was had by all. Everything has changed. It's gone upside down. Last few years has been interesting with the streaming phenomenon, which has screwed everything up, of course. Well, it has screwed everything up, you know. But that was Netflix, you know. Everybody tried to copy Netflix, and there's only one Netflix, you know. Trouble is, Netflix looks like itself more than anything else now. I mean, I'm happy that it's there because it's jobs for everybody and work. But they tend now, you see a Netflix movie, and it looks like, well, you know, Netflix movie. I mean, that's,
right.
No, it used to be interesting. Now it's no longer. It's just the content is so enormous and it's all regular. And they've invented their own platform. Everybody's now. It's a Netflix thing. No longer is it. It's Netflix, their own favorites. But that's what the legacy companies are going to face up to. You know, they lost all their shirts when they bet on that and whatever, and they bet on streaming, and now it's all gone backwards. There's too much content.
Well, that's why it's wonderful to see an indie movie like yours.
Well, that's very rare. We're very lucky to have made it, you know, thank God, you know. Terry Smith, who was our sort of, you know, main financial contributor, came up with the dosh, and, you know, I think probably budget was about 3 million euros in the end, but it's all up on the screen.
For sure.
I mean, it looks like it's up there. It's not, you know, not been thrown around on, you know. But again, it was a very civilized movie to make also. What, you know, we'd meet for breakfast, you know, we'd have a coffee and a sandwich, talk about this minimum crew, great Spanish crew. And the cameraman knew, and you don't know what you're doing. And nobody wasted any time on the set talking about this scene. My line here, oh, shut the fuck up. Because we'd done that already. That's to be done before you get on the set, you know. So we met like 5 days before we started filming. We'd done most of the wardrobe tests, makeup tests, whatever. And then we had 2 days of the weekend going through the script in a hotel with all the actors and talking. Then a couple of the actors went back to England or wherever and came out later on. But we had actually worked out what we wanted to do. Because there's nothing worse than wasting time. It's fine if you're in a stage play. It's a whole different world. But film, you want to be doing it. You want to be getting at it. And, you know, and we're working with kids, and the kids were great. You let them do it. And when you're working at the other people, you know what you're doing. So it's more important that they be allowed. So you say, well, you do what do you want to do? There's a million ways to play any scene, you know.
For sure.
Except when the director, and he's a good director with actors, Gonzalo, and he cares, and they really liked him.
Did you have a shorthand with him, given that you had worked
I have a
with him
shorthand
before?
with him, yeah, because a very good one. And but at the end of that 5 weeks, I didn't want to see him again for at least 3 months. Get the fuck. I mean, really. Well, when somebody's you no matter how close to and you work together well, but you've had enough by then, And the last, and everybody thinks films they end wonderfully. This ended on, it was a cold, miserable night doing pickup shots for all the little bits we'd never done and getting on each other's nerves, and having to leave on EasyJet 4 hours back to England in the morning. And you go, this should end with us all hugging each other. But it doesn't work out that way. But the film worked out well, That's all that matters in the end.
For sure. You took a producer credit on this one. How actively were you involved as a producer? What did that mean
very
to
much
you?
so, yeah. But well, I mean, as I said, he came to me within the first year with the writer, and we worked closely together on the script with ideas. And then because I produced and directed before, and I had my own series called Lovejoy in England, which is about thank you, the old antique dealer, yeah, which is good. What they want to do again. They keep asking me, and I say,
Would you?
No, but that's one legitimate time when you say, yes, you should do it again, but do it as Lovejoy, but have it like 15 minutes of build-up. Oh, is he coming back? And then in walks this gorgeous blonde, because I had a daughter in the show, and she would be perfect for an actress to come back and play that. Not me coming in on a Zimmer frame saying, hello, this is an antique Zimmer frame I'm now wearing and using since. But I mean, no, they think of that. I mean, I could come in and play a guest pop, whatever. But I mean, it's like you don't repeating things. The Deadwood movie, actually, which they did after, they were lucky with because they didn't repeat the Deadwood.
Right.
It was Al was waning. Al was fading. His health was fading. He wasn't the same force of nature. Tim had changed. That was very rare. I thought it was brave. It wasn't just Deadwood #2. It was Deadwood and it did close a circle to a certain extent.
What did it mean to you to be able to revisit that character?
Al?
Yes.
Oh, no, Al's gone now.
No, I said, what did it mean to you?
Oh, it meant enormous. It meant enormous to everybody. For a start, everybody really did get on well. And everybody did respect each other. And it was a great 3 weeks. And by that time, David was failing with his health. He was going into his Alzheimer, everybody knew about. But he was remarkably, and his wife was fantastic, Rita, who was with him all the time. And it was a great time. We at the ranch again and everything, because we did it all on this Gene Autry ranch up in Santa Clarita. And it was, and the great thing about Deadwood, very much like making an indie movie, I've forgotten, because you weren't set again. You weren't set by rules every day, because we filmed at a ranch and because we had everything available. Like there was sets there was an outdoor there were the horses there. He could actually switch around. So often we'd start a scene, and he'd go, hang on a second, I'm gonna rewrite. You work here and I'm gonna check on something else. And then he'd come back with half a written scene, then you do something else and go back. So it was a constant reinvention, but of a real kind,
Right.
Because David, that's the way Milch works. A bit of a genius,
What did you learn from working with him?
I learned a lot to stay away from the writer's room. Well, they do that. They'll say, the actors go in the writer's room. You think, well, you won't get so much to say next week. No, but I mean, they do that. But it was encouraging actors to go in the writer's room. Now, certain actors, okay, but some actors, for fuck's sake, no. Don't let them near a writer's room. Keep them away from it, you know what I mean? But David was always very generous, but you'd see when you push the limit too far. There were none on that, but none of the main actors ever went into the writing room. But I learned from David as well. What did I learn? Yeah. I mean, Walter Hill did the best thing, because Walter directed the pilot, and they reshot a little bit of the pilot, not all of it. And Walter didn't want to be involved in the reshoot. And I think I learned more than Walter, whatever. And because Walter, who I still see, I was a friend of before we did it, and I see him since. And I said, what did you really think when you did that? And I was him. I said, well, Walter walked away with all the plaudits for directing and the Golden Globe. And as he said, there can only be one king on the throne, Ian. That's a very smart thing. David ran the show and ran it brilliantly for 3 years. Until, it all blew up when, the head of HBO said, how about we do 9 episodes this year? And David said, how about we do fucking none? You know what I mean? So that goes down well with the production. You know? So we ended up doing none. But we had 3 years, and maybe the show would have been as well. We had those 3 years. And instead of going back on it, I mean, I always remember, maybe it wouldn't have been as good. Who knows? But maybe that 3 years was the most extraordinary period of, like, you know, learning. I mean, when you'd hear that fax machine, I'm going back to faxes now, that's taking us back, isn't it? Clacking in the middle of the night with a new speech coming out, you know. You knew that'd be David typing away there for the following day. So it kept you on your toes.
For sure. You've also been involved in the John Wick franchise. What was that experience like? I mean, it feels like you've been involved in there you go.
Well, that's ongoing, yeah.
Every spectrum of filmmaking.
Well, that's ongoing. And that, again, that's, you know, that's been great to watch Chad Stahelski, our director, who's done all 4, get better and better and better and better and know more about whatever and teach everybody, show everybody. I'm very, you know, I've got a lot of time for Chad and Keanu, because they worked together before as a stunt team, whatever. He was Keanu's double forever. But, you know, the first film, they seduced us into going to New York by saying, you know, it's a cheap film. We're going to pay you up, but a nice 4 days in New York at Thanksgiving at a great hotel, and you build and you go, yeah. And it was, you know, there was Willem Dafoe and me and the wonderful Swiss Michael Nyqvist, who's no longer with us, but, you know, as is no longer, you know, Lance Reddick, my old partner, which is a tragedy, you know. But at least we have Ballerina to come out, and Lance and I have a couple of scenes in that. That's the new sort of one with Ana de Armas plays not a female version of John Wick, but I guess she would say that. It's a female assassin in the John Wick franchise, and Keanu's in it too. So that's why when, you know, they say, shock horror probe, Ballerina now being taken over by whatever, the showings have not been as good. You go, no, calm down, you know. Right. It's a movie and it's shown, and, you know, a John Wick franchise, certain things have to be respected. And so they redid did some new action sequences, whatever. And I must say, the trailer came out, and you go, wow, it's going to be terrific. And Anna's going to be great, you know.
Of course she is.
She'll be great, and it'll be worthwhile seeing. Whether there's another one is whether Keanu wants to put himself through that routine again for another. I mean, come on, man. I mean, Jesus. I mean, the 7th night outside the church in Paris, you know, and 7 nights of continuous lousy weather and filming. And Keanu says, just one more take. And you go, oh, Jesus. What's your leading man? You know, what are you going to say? No? I mean, just a little more for the end. So he's as committed. Yes, he's committed. He's a great guy. And great to work with. And it's been a pleasure to work on them, yeah.
Wonderful. What do you look for in a role when a script lands on your desk or your agent calls you? What is it makes you say yes to something?
Sometimes the check. Well, no, it's absolutely, I mean, really, it's like Michael Caine was once asked, I remember forgetting on the British TV show, you know, very pretentious, what made you do Jaws 4, Michael? What made you do Jaws 4? And Michael said, really, he said, I'd just like to show you a picture of the house that he bought in the Bahamas. And everybody went, well, it was absolutely right. I mean, that's why you do sometimes, or you do it for reasons. And sometimes you do I'm lucky enough to, you know, most actors aren't lucky enough to be in a position to talk about the jobs they do, to think about whatever. You know, they come up and suddenly they go, I only work when I'm necessary. I mean, it's very good news that Daniel Day-Lewis is coming back again after 8 years. But Christ, he's retired more times than opera singer. You know, it's like, God, I mean, wow, it's Kirsten Flagstad on her farewell tour. Very quick, bye, everybody, I'm leaving again. Well, good, nice to see you back again, whatever. But it's like it's a job like any other, you know. And I think, you know, actors never retire. They just lose their scripts.
Do you think that there's a secret or something that you've done that helped you maintain your career for so long? Is it the sense of humor that you have?
Good doctors and shit.
But it seems like you're in good spirits, and I think that probably...
No, I got a very good... Well, I come from a My dad was a professional soccer player for Manchester United, you know. So I mean, I come from a very normal lower middle class background in the 50s, thinking, and suddenly I did a coup plays at school. And all I know is when I got on the stage, it's like, I don't know, it's something natural. You know where to move, you knew where to do it. And the teacher who did this play, we did Cyrano de Bergerac, and I played it. And he said to me, you know, you've ever thought of acting? And I said, not really. So then he said, yeah, to talk with my mum and dad, and then we had a chat, and then I auditioned for RADA, and I got in. But I'd only ever done two school plays before I went down to RADA. So it was all, you know, it was all fresh to me. And when they said, you know, and RADA was great because RADA's classical training, you know, you had ballet, you had fencing, you had speech classes, and half the classes you really don't realize until maybe 10 years on in your career that they were really useful. You know what I mean? They really came in, and I enjoyed them. Otherwise,
So you're going to do some ballet for us now?
a plie for you, darling, whatever you want. No, but I mean, that was great. We all got, the guys had to put tights, and we had restoration comedy was a class. So
Amazing.
You went through a lot of all this, so your body learned things that you wouldn't normally, you know, you didn't go through a period of being, you know, it's like, you know, I always remember that quote of Dustin Hoffman saying to Laurence Olivier, you know, when he ran around the room when they did Marathon Man, and he went outside. He's supposed to be exhausted in the scene, so Olivier's waiting there, and apparently Dustin went and did a 3-mile run around Pinewood Studios. You know, came into the set to say, "You ready?" Like that, and Olivier looked and said, "Darling, why don't you try acting?" Too exhausted to say the lines when he got on the set, you know what I mean? And if you see the movie recently, you'll know what Olivier meant. But it's like everybody's got their own techniques. It's not putting everybody down. But it's like, yeah, you know, at the time, right, I was like, RADA, you know, what do I need? What do I, you know, when I left, it was because it was funny. I got a movie before I left, the first movie I ever did. Johnny Hurt was there. Johnny Hurt was my best friend at drama school. He was ahead of me. Johnny was a term ahead, and he got this movie. And they couldn't cast this 19-year-old stroppy North Country student. And guess who he suggested? You know what I mean? He said, my mate at RADA. So I went out. I took a Green Line bus out to Pinewood Studios. I remember. And did an audition with Samantha Eggar, and who's already got the part, and the great Virginia Maskell, great English actress. And then took a bus back to RADA and joined the afternoon class. And the following day, this agent rang and said, you got the part. So I had to go in and say to John Fernald, head of RADA, the Royal Academy, I had to say, sir, I lied yesterday. I did not go to the dentist like I said I did. I went and did a screen test, and I got it, and they've offered me the part. To which he said, well, you realize, Ian, if you leave the course early, we might not give you your diploma. I said, what, I mean, a sheet of thing that says you can act? But it was signed by Sir John Gielgud, and they did give it me in the end. And later I told Gielgud the story when he did Lovejoy with me. And I said, you signed my autograph.
And it seems
very good, very good. Love boy, like Lovejoy. No, Lovejoy, whatever. Same thing.
Well, it seems to have worked out for you.
Not badly. Yeah,
Not
pretty
badly.
good.
So last question. What advice do you have for people coming into the career now, for up-and-coming actors who are entering the industry now?
Oh, Jesus. Advice? That's so difficult. I mean, if you're, you know, we say you've got to follow your dream. I don't know, but, you know, I mean, people, if they want to do something, they will do it. It's heartache at the end of it. There's only, you know, you need enormous luck. I really do believe that. Enormous luck. A bit of talent sometimes. It depends what part of, you know, what kind of an actor you want to be. I mean, some actors I was at drama school with, they were amazing. I never heard of them again. They gave up. They'd had enough of audition, enough of being turned down. No, and it's true. I mean, people get, you know, you got to be tough as well in this business. You got to say, oh, fuck them. You know, they don't get it. They'll get it later on. I was too naive to know any of that. So I just plowed through. But really, it's a tough business, and I wish everybody luck and love that goes into it. And it might happen, it won't happen. But, you know, when you're as lucky as I am at this time and to have made a film like this, to be part of it, yeah, and to be here talking to you, it's a pleasure. So thanks for listening to me go waffle on for a while, and thanks for watching it, okay? Thank you, darling.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Ian McShane, everybody.